We're excited to be here today as part of our Women in Leadership interview series, where we get to hear from some of our wonderful women leaders at Recursion. And we're really excited to have Marie here sharing her stories with us. Why were you excited to be a part of this conversation?
I see so many amazing women leaders, but there's just not enough of us. When I was doing my postdoc, I was surrounded by many women. It was probably 50-50, and I didn't realize there was a gender difference. And then all of a sudden, when I started working in industry, and I think this happens in academics too, you start losing, and I don't know where they go. And then as you get more experience and more senior at a company, at every level, there's this attrition. And I don't understand where that's coming from, because we're all start off together, interested in science. And so I think there's a lot of challenges that women face. It's hard to be a mom and also focus in your career. But I think there's still bias too in how women are treated. And so this is an opportunity for me to encourage women, I think, to be their authentic self.
Can you say more about embracing their authentic selves, embracing one's authentic self in how you lead?
Yeah. In reality, that is your strength, right? There is nobody else like you. There is nobody else like you. And so that is a power that you have. And so you should never forget who you are. You should never try to be somebody else. You should never try to emulate anyone else. I mean, I think you should use your strengths to really make the impact that you seek.
So one of our core values is act boldly. And that can often be associated with more masculine behaviors. What has been your experience at Recursion around this?
I think boldness now isn't necessarily being the loudest person in the room. That is not boldness. That's just being loud. I think boldness is really being about being brave, being courageous, putting yourself out there. It's about having an opinion and having a belief and really advocating for it, even though it's not the popular opinion. I think another definition of boldness is being vulnerable, right? And leaning into the vulnerability, because that's very hard, right? And so we don't know how we're going to industrialize drug discovery. There's so many things that we need to work out, and we don't all know what the solution is. And the reason why we've hired so much great talent here is because we want the diversity of opinion. We want that. We do not want people feeling paralyzed that they cannot have opinions. And so I think we have to create that space for people to be bold and to take a chance on an idea that may or may not go anywhere.
What are some of the biggest challenges you faced as a woman in leadership?
I mean, the biggest challenge going back is honestly trying to balance between being a mom and you want to be the best mom you can. These are kids that you are raising, that you are going to launch into the world. So that comes with huge responsibility.
Right.
But then also this responsibility of doing something meaningful that could translate into helping people. So you have kind of two forces, two jobs, essentially. And so to be able to do both well and has been probably the biggest challenge of my life.
How have you built confidence or resiliency over the course of your career?
First of all, I try to give myself grace as much as possible. And so keep your expectations low, but work hard, right? And be humble, but it's okay to fail. Like, it's okay if you make the wrong answer. It's okay, because there will be other opportunities, actually. And so I think that's been the biggest thing for me is to think about my career as the long game
Can you say more about giving yourself grace and what that's looked like for you?
Being able to say no sometimes if you just can't do the thing that you would love to be able to do. Right. And just knowing that you don't have to be a superpower, superhuman to do your work. I think sometimes we internalize, and I think we have more expectations of ourselves than others do. I think women tend to put themselves on a really high bar, and I think it's important for us to kind of, love ourselves and accept that we have flaws too, and that's great. Yeah.
What advice would you give to the next generation of leaders?
Maybe I'll reduce it to maybe 4 pieces. Trust yourself. Trust your intuition. That's the first piece. Ask for feedback. Ask for opportunities. Advocate for yourself. So ask, lean in, be proactive. 3, as a scientist, we entered this area of science because we were curious and we wanted to learn. Find opportunities to learn and grow as a scientist, as a person. Never stop learning, actually. And then the last piece, which I always tell my kids, is find humor in what you do. Find fun in what you do. Don't take it too seriously, ever. Just have fun. Don't forget that. Yeah.
Thank you, Marie.
Welcome.